Introduction. What if the reason you're stuck isn't your skills, but your emotions? Have you ever said something you regretted in the heat of the moment? Have you ever felt overwhelmed, misunderstood, or disconnected, even when surrounded by people? Have you ever watched someone less talented than you succeed just because they knew how to connect? If so, you're not alone. And you're not broken. You just haven't been taught one of the most powerful skills in life: emotional intelligence. Most people believe success is about being smart, working hard, or having the right connections. Those things matter, but there's something even more important. Studies show that people with high emotional intelligence earn more, lead better, enjoy deeper relationships, and live with more inner peace. EQ is the silent advantage of the happiest, most resilient, and most admired people in the world. The best part? You don't need to be born with it. You can learn it, grow it, master it. This book is your step-by-step guide to doing exactly that. In just 5 simple, practical steps, you'll learn how to understand your emotions before they control. You respond instead of react. Handle difficult conversations with calm and clarity. Build real, deep emotional connection with others. Strengthen your mental focus, peace, and self-respect. Whether you're a student, a leader, a parent, an entrepreneur, or someone who simply wants to feel more in control of your emotions, this book will help you upgrade your inner world so you can thrive in the outer one. You don't need a new personality. You need new tools. And that's exactly what you'll get. Clear, real-life strategies backed by science and stories. So take a breath, open your heart, and get ready to change your life. Because once you master your emotions, there's nothing you can't master. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an update, bonus chapter, or exclusive tool to help you grow even faster. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Feel it to fix it. Have you ever told yourself, "I'm fine," when deep down you weren't? Most people have. In fact, millions walk around every day suppressing their emotions, not because they want to lie to themselves, but because they were never taught how to understand what they're feeling in the first place. That's where emotional intelligence begins. Not with control, not with communication, but with awareness. Emotions are messages. That's it. They aren't good or bad. They're not signs of weakness or strength. They're like internal notifications, alerts from your mind and body telling you something important is happening. Anxiety may be telling you something feels uncertain. Anger might be saying a boundary has been crossed. Sadness often signals that something meaningful has been lost. But if you don't learn to listen to these messages, you'll either suppress them until they explode, or let them drive your behavior without even realizing it. The first step to mastering your emotions is to feel them without fear. Most of us were taught to avoid or dismiss our feelings. Stop crying. Man up. Don't be so sensitive. These messages condition us to believe that emotions are a problem, but the real problem is disconnection from them. Think about it. How can you change something you won't even acknowledge? You can't fix what you refuse to feel. When you become emotionally intelligent, the first power you unlock is what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to name your emotions accurately. It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. There's a huge difference between saying, "I'm upset," and knowing, "I feel disappointed because I expected more support from my friend." One is vague and powerless. The other is clear and actionable. Naming emotions reduces their intensity and gives you control. In brain science, this is called name it to tame it. Studies using brain scans show that when you label an emotion correctly, your brain's amygdala, the alarm system, calms down and irrational thinking kicks in. It's like flipping a switch from chaos to clarity. So how do you build this? Emotional awareness? Start with daily check-ins. Ask yourself, What am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in my body? What triggered this feeling? What might this emotion be trying to tell me? Instead of judging or pushing emotions away, practice welcoming them with curiosity. Imagine emotions as visitors. They're here for a reason. Some will pass quickly. Others will stay until you've learned the message they carry. And here's the truth. You can't heal what you don't feel. Suppressing emotions doesn't make you stronger. It makes you disconnected from others, and most dangerously, from yourself. By learning to feel your emotions fully, you gain the power to manage them wisely. You become the driver of your emotional life, not the passenger. That's where growth begins. This isn't about being emotional. It's about being emotionally smart. And it starts now, with the simple but life-changing decision to feel it, so you can finally fix it. Chapter 2. Pause before you react. Have you ever said something in a moment of frustration that you instantly regretted? Maybe you fired off a harsh message, raised your voice, or made a snap decision, and then wished you could rewind time. You're not alone. That's the power of reaction. Fast, emotional, and often unfiltered. But emotional intelligence gives you a better option. Response. The difference between reacting and responding can determine the quality of your relationships, your mental peace, and even your success in life. A reaction is instant. It's emotional. It's driven by the part of your brain that's trying to protect you, your amygdala. This ancient system is hardwired for survival. Fight, flight, freeze. It doesn't care about long-term consequences. It cares about eliminating discomfort now. Our response, however, is thoughtful. It's controlled. It comes from a different part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making, logic, and emotional regulation. When you pause, even for a few seconds, you give this part of your brain a chance to step in and make better choices. Here's the truth most people miss. Your emotions are not the problem. Your reactions are. The good news? You can train yourself to pause. The pause is your power. It's the space between the trigger and your choice. And in that space, everything changes. Let's say someone criticizes you unfairly. Your knee-jerk reaction might be to snap back or shut down. But if you pause, take a breath, ground yourself, and notice the emotion rising, you get a chance to choose a smarter response. Maybe you ask for clarification. Maybe you walk away and return later. Maybe you respond with calm strength. That pause, that tiny gap, gives you emotional freedom. One of the simplest but most powerful tools to build this habit is called the 5-second rule. When you feel triggered, silently count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This disrupts the reactive pattern and activates your thinking brain. Another tool is name and breathe. Label the emotion. I'm feeling angry, and take one slow, deep breath. That one breath might be the difference between damage and understanding. Every time you pause before reacting, you're rewiring your brain. You're training your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. You're proving to yourself that you are in control. Not your anger, not your anxiety, not your ego. This is especially powerful in relationships. When you stop reacting impulsively, you stop hurting people you care about. You start having healthier conversations. You become someone who can handle conflict without creating chaos, and that is rare and powerful. Think of the pause as your emotional seatbelt. You might not always avoid the collision, but you'll come through it safer and with less damage. So from now on, when something pushes your buttons, pause, breathe, then decide. Because every emotional reaction is a test. And with emotional intelligence, you don't just pass the test, you elevate your life. Chapter 3. Know your triggers. Have you ever overreacted to something small? A comment, a look, a tone of voice, and later wondered, why did that bother me so much? That's the power of a trigger. Triggers are emotional landmines. They're sensitive spots in your inner world, often shaped by past experiences, that cause you to react with intensity that doesn't match the present moment. To master your emotions, you must first understand what triggers them and why. A trigger is not just about what someone said or did. It's about what it meant to you. Two people can face the exact same situation and react in completely different ways. Why? Because of their internal filters, their emotional wounds, beliefs, and memories. Triggers are deeply personal. What triggers you might not affect someone else at all. Let's say someone interrupts you during a meeting. You might feel disrespected, dismissed, or invisible. But the real question is, where does that feeling come from? Maybe you grew up in a home where you were constantly talked over. Maybe you were made to feel like your voice didn't matter. That moment in the meeting isn't just about today. It's echoing something much older. That's what makes triggers so powerful and dangerous. If left unexamined, they quietly control your behavior. They hijack your reactions and damage your relationships. But once you identify them, you regain your power. Start by paying attention to your strong emotional reactions. When something stings, frustrates, or overwhelms you, pause and ask, what exactly am I feeling right now? What part of this situation feels familiar? Is this emotion about now, or is it bringing up something from my past? You'll be surprised how often your present pain is rooted in past patterns. There are common trigger categories that many people share. Abandonment, fear of being left out or rejected, injustice, sensitivity to unfairness or being wrongly accused, control, discomfort when things feel chaotic or unpredictable, criticism, intense reaction to feedback or perceived judgment, neglect, strong responses to being ignored, dismissed, or not seen. By identifying your personal patterns, you start taking back control. You're no longer reacting blindly. You're responding with awareness. And here's something even more empowering. Triggers are also teachers. They shine a spotlight on what still needs healing. Every trigger is an invitation to look within and ask, what belief is still unhealed here? For example, if you're triggered by criticism, ask yourself why. Do you feel like you have to be perfect to be worthy? Do you tie your value to your performance? These deeper insights allow you to not just manage your reactions, but to start healing the root. Knowing your triggers doesn't mean you'll never be upset again, but it means you'll recognize the moment before it controls you. You'll be able to say, I know this feeling. I know where it comes from, and I know how to handle it. That is emotional intelligence at work. And it's how you turn your pain into power. Chapter 4. Master the mood shift. What if you could go from angry to calm, anxious to clear-minded in under 90 seconds? That may sound unrealistic, but it's absolutely possible. In fact, mastering your ability to shift your emotional state on command is one of the most powerful skills you can develop through emotional intelligence. Here's the truth. Your emotions don't have to control you. They're signals, not shackles. The real issue isn't feeling emotions. It's staying stuck in them. And often, what keeps you stuck isn't the emotion itself, but your thoughts about the emotion. Research shows that the chemical lifespan of an emotion in the body is about 90 seconds. That means feelings like fear, anger, or frustration only linger longer when you keep replaying the story behind them. Your brain is like a movie projector. It will keep the film rolling as long as you keep feeding it. So how do you shift your mood deliberately? It starts with recognizing the early signs of emotional activation: tense muscles, shallow breathing, racing thoughts, or a tightening in your chest or stomach. These are your cues. Once you spot them, it's time to act fast before your emotional brain fully hijacks your response system. Step 1. Breathe to interrupt your breath is the fastest way to change your state. When you're stressed, your breathing becomes fast and shallow, signaling danger to your brain. To reverse this, slow everything down. Try box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6, hold again for 4. Repeat for 1 minute. This sends a powerful "I'm safe" message to your nervous system, reducing stress and creating space for clarity. Step 2. Shift the story. Emotions are often fueled by the story we're telling ourselves. They disrespected me. I always mess things up. This will never work. These thoughts create emotional storms. But what if you asked, is this thought 100% true? What else could this mean? How would the calmest version of me see this? This is called reframing, looking at the same situation through a different lens. It doesn't mean denying reality. It means choosing the most empowering interpretation that helps you respond instead of react. Step 3. Move. The energy emotion equals energy in motion. If you're sitting in stress, literally sitting still can make it worse. Get up, stretch, take a walk, shake your arms, splash water on your face. Physical movement disrupts the emotional pattern and tells your body, we're not stuck here. Even smiling, yes, even a fake smile, can activate positive chemicals in the brain. That's how powerful your body's feedback system is. Final insight. Practice. Don't. Perfect mood shifting isn't about forcing yourself to be happy or pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about building a toolset so that when emotions show up, and they always will, you have options. You don't get stuck. You don't spiral. You shift. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean you never feel them. It means you lead them instead of letting them lead you. And that, right there, is the difference between reacting like everyone else and rising like someone emotionally intelligent. Chapter 5. Empathy wins every time. If emotional intelligence is a superpower, empathy is the heart of it. It's the skill that makes people feel seen, heard, and understood. And it's often the difference between building strong relationships and silently destroying them. But empathy is often misunderstood. It's not about fixing someone's problems. It's not even about agreeing with them. At its core, empathy means being present enough to say, I may not feel what you feel, but I'm here with you in it. In today's fast-paced world, people crave connection more than ever, yet most conversations are surface level or distracted. Think about how often you hear someone vent, and the reply is, don't worry, it'll be fine. Or worse, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about my day. This isn't connection, it's emotional bypassing. True empathy starts with listening to understand, not to reply. It requires you to slow down, get curious, and step out of your own mental noise. When someone now opens up to you, whether it's a partner, coworker, friend, or stranger, your presence is more powerful than your advice. People don't want quick solutions. They want to feel safe enough to feel . So how do you develop empathy? Start with active listening. That means maintaining eye contact, if culturally appropriate, avoiding interruptions or premature judgments, reflecting back what you heard. It sounds like you felt really let down when that happened. Asking open-ended questions. How did that make you feel? Or what was that like for you? This may seem simple, but it's rare. Most people listen with the intent to fix, defend, or relate, but not simply to hold space. Next, work on perspective taking. This is the practice of imagining what the world looks like from someone else's point of view. Even if you wouldn't react the same way, you can still honor that their emotions are valid. Say things like, I can see how that would feel really frustrating, or that makes sense given what you've been through. You don't need to agree, you just need to understand. And here's something powerful. Empathy also transforms conflict. When someone is upset with you, try replacing defensiveness with curiosity. Instead of, That's not what I meant. Try, I didn't realize that's how it came across. Can you help me understand how you felt? That one shift can dissolve tension in seconds. Empathy doesn't just help others, it makes you stronger. It deepens your relationships, improves teamwork, reduces arguments, and even increases emotional resilience. People trust and respect those who make them feel heard. The best leaders, parents, partners, and friends, are not the ones with all the answers. They're the ones who can sit beside you in your emotions without rushing to change them. So if you want to truly grow your emotional intelligence, practice empathy, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because in those moments, you're not just connecting, you're healing. And that always wins. Chapter 6. Read the room. Words can lie, but energy doesn't. In every room, every meeting, every conversation, there are two dialogues happening. One with words and one with everything else. If you're only listening to what's being said, you're missing half the truth. To truly become emotionally intelligent, you need to learn how to read the room, to pick up on subtle signals in body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and emotional energy. This is called social awareness, and it's the skill that makes someone magnetic, intuitive, and wise in group settings. We all know someone who just knows when to speak, when to listen, when to change the subject, or when to simply step back. That's not luck. That's emotional intelligence at work. Here's the first truth. People are constantly communicating, even when they're not talking. Crossed arms, lack of eye contact, forced smiles, nervous tapping. All of these are cues. So is silence. So is tone. When someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice is sharp, their eyes are down, and they're pulling away, the words and body are in conflict. Which one should you trust? The body. Every time, learning to read nonverbal cues helps you understand what others are really feeling, even when they don't know how to express it. And this ability changes everything, from how you lead a team to how you comfort a friend, handle conflict, or build trust in any relationship. So how do you build this skill? Step 1. Observe before you speak. Walk into any room and pause. Scan the emotional landscape. Who looks comfortable? Who's withdrawn? Who's dominating the space? Who seems anxious or distracted? This kind of quiet observation tunes you into group dynamics and emotional energy before you step in with your own. Step 2. Watch for congruence. Emotionally intelligent people listen for what's said and watch for whether it matches how it's said. When words and body language match, that's congruence. But when someone says, "Sure, I'm happy to help," while looking irritated and avoiding eye contact, there's an emotional mismatch. Learn to gently question the gap. You said you're okay, but I'm picking up something else. Want to talk about it? Step 3. Listen for tone and pace. The way someone speaks can reveal more than the words themselves. A fast, shaky voice may indicate anxiety. A flat, monotone voice can suggest emotional shutdown. A loud or cutting tone might signal anger. The more attuned you become to tone, the more emotionally fluent you become. Step 4. Match, don't mirror. Being socially aware isn't about mimicking people. It's about matching their emotional energy in a way that feels respectful. If someone is sad, don't respond with hyperpositivity. If someone is calm, don't overpower them with fast, intense energy. Match first, and gently lead the energy where it needs to go. Reading the room helps you navigate every situation with wisdom and empathy. It's what turns awkward silences into powerful moments and makes you someone others feel safe and seen around. The most influential people aren't always the loudest. They're the most emotionally tuned in. And now you're becoming one of them. Chapter 7. Speak to be heard. Have you ever tried to express how you feel, only to be misunderstood, ignored, or worse, met with defensiveness or anger. It's one of the most frustrating human experiences, trying to be heard and feeling like you're not the good news. Emotional intelligence gives you the tools to change that. Speaking to be heard isn't about talking more. It's about speaking with clarity, honesty, and emotional skill. It's about expressing your truth in a way that doesn't trigger defensiveness or conflict in others. And when you master this, your relationships transform. People begin to listen. They stop bracing for impact when you open up. They feel safe. And so do you. The first principle is simple but powerful. Don't speak to win, speak to connect. When communication turns into a competition, nobody wins. But when your goal is to connect, to be real without blame, people are far more likely to listen with an open heart. One of the most effective tools in emotionally intelligent communication is using I statements instead of you. Accusations. For example, you never listen to me. I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. Why does this work? Because you statements feel like attacks. They put people on the defensive. But I statements focus on your experience, not their behavior. That small shift changes the entire tone of the conversation. Here's a simple but powerful formula to follow. I feel emotion when triggering event because reason I. What I need is clear request. For example, I feel frustrated when meetings start late because I value everyone's time. What I need is for us to begin promptly. This is the heart of nonviolent communication, NVC, a communication style that expresses emotion without aggression or passivity. It teaches you to be emotionally honest and respectful at the same time. Another key to being heard is managing your tone and timing. You could say the right words, but if your voice is sharp or your timing is poor, like in the heat of an argument, your message won't land. Emotional intelligence means knowing when to speak and when to wait. Here are some emotionally smart habits to improve how you speak. Pause and breathe before speaking when emotions are high. Ask, is this a good time to talk? Instead of launching in. Be specific. Vague complaints don't help. Clear examples. Do use empathy as you speak. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but... And remember, expressing your emotions isn't weakness. It's leadership. When done well, emotional expression builds trust, not tension. You deserve to be heard. Your feelings matter. But how you deliver them determines how they're received. With practice, you'll stop having arguments and start having real conversations. And that's when everything changes. Chapter 8. Boundaries Build Confidence. One of the most powerful emotional intelligence skills you can develop is the ability to say no without guilt and mean it. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about shutting people out. They are bridges built with intention, guiding people on how to respect and interact with you. In other words, boundaries teach others how to treat you. Many people confuse kindness with self-sacrifice. They overextend themselves, say yes when they mean no, absorb others' problems, and end up drained, resentful, and emotionally burned out. But emotional intelligence teaches you that real kindness includes yourself. Setting boundaries is a sign of emotional maturity, not rudeness. It's about recognizing your limits and communicating them clearly, without guilt, apology, or anger. You can be compassionate and assertive. You can love people deeply and still protect your energy. Here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're saying no to yourself. So how do you begin building healthy boundaries? Start with clarity. Ask yourself, what behaviors drain or overwhelm me? When do I feel disrespected, taken for granted, or emotionally unsafe? What do I need more of or less of in my relationships? Once you identify what's not working, the next step is to communicate it. And the good news is, you can do this kindly and clearly. Here are some emotionally intelligent scripts you can use in real life. I care about you, but I'm not available for that right now. I'd love to help, but I don't have the capacity at the moment. I'm not comfortable with that, and I hope you can respect it. Let's revisit this when I have more space to give it the attention it deserves. These phrases communicate self-respect and boundaries without being harsh. They are honest, calm, and firm, and that's exactly what emotional intelligence sounds like in action. Also, remember this, you don't have to explain yourself endlessly. One of the reasons people avoid setting boundaries is fear of how others will react. But how someone responds to your boundary tells you everything about them, not you. Respectful people will honor your limits. Controlling or insecure people will push back. Stay grounded. You're not responsible for managing other people's emotions. Strong boundaries also lead to deeper trust. Why? Because when people know where you stand, they feel more secure around you. They know you're not pretending, people-pleasing, or silently resenting them. You show up as your whole self, honest, clear, and confident. And that confidence grows every time you honor your own needs. In the end, boundaries aren't barriers. They are acts of love and clarity. They make your relationships healthier, your energy more protected, and your inner peace stronger. So give yourself permission. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to prove your worth through overgiving. You are allowed to say no and still be a kind, loving, and emotionally intelligent human being. Chapter 9. Emotional Fitness Routine. Just like physical health, emotional intelligence doesn't grow by accident. It grows by practice. You don't go to the gym once and expect lifelong results. The same goes for your emotional life. You need a routine, not a rescue. And that's exactly what this chapter gives you. An emotional fitness plan you can follow daily to become stronger, calmer, and more self-aware over time. Think of emotional fitness as your inner workout. Every time you pause before reacting, reflect before speaking, or respond with empathy, you're strengthening your emotional muscles. The key is to turn these skills into habits, small, consistent actions that shape how you think, feel, and connect. 1. The morning check-in. Start each day by checking in with yourself before the world pulls your attention in 100 directions. Ask, how am I feeling this morning? Emotionally, physically, mentally. What do I need today? More patience, clarity, focus, or compassion? This 60-second habit builds emotional awareness before anything outside influences your state. Write it down if you can. Journaling doesn't have to be long, just real. 2. The emotional audit. At the end of each day, take 5 to 10 minutes for a reflection. Ask, what emotions came up most today? Why? When did I respond well? When did I react poorly? What triggered me? And what can I learn from it? This isn't about judgment. It's about growth. Over time, this practice helps you spot patterns, uncover emotional blind spots, and make smarter choices in the future. 3. The EQ journal prompts a few times a week. Dive deeper using journaling prompts like, what emotion have I been avoiding lately? And why? What do I wish others understood about me emotionally? Where in my life do I need stronger boundaries right now? What's one thing I can do tomorrow to support my emotional well-being? These questions build emotional clarity, and clarity leads to confidence. 4. The 3-minute reset. Whenever you're overwhelmed, practice a short emotional reset. Stop. Notice the emotion rising. Breathe. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Name. Label the emotion, for example, I'm feeling frustrated. Shift. Ask, what do I need right now? And do one small thing to honor it. This micro-habit can prevent emotional spirals and recenter you in high-stress moments. 5. The weekly reflection ritual. Once a week, take 15 to 30 minutes to reflect more deeply. Review. Highs and lows of the week. How you managed emotions and handled relationships, what you want to carry forward, and what you need to change. This is how emotional intelligence becomes a lifestyle, not just a skill set. Consistency is everything. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to show up for yourself regularly. These tiny, powerful habits compound over time, building a version of you that is emotionally clear, deeply resilient, and confidently in control. This is your inner training ground. And every time you practice, you grow stronger from the inside out. Chapter 10. Lead with heart. Emotional intelligence isn't just something you use when you're upset or in conflict. It's something you live. The ultimate purpose of building EQ is not just to feel better or avoid stress. It's to become someone others trust, respect, and feel safe around. In other words, someone who leads with heart. Whether you're a team leader, parent, friend, partner, or student, you are a leader. Leadership is not about job titles. It's about emotional impact. It's about the energy you bring into a room, the way you handle pressure, the way you listen, and the way you treat people when no one is watching. And guess what? The most admired and effective leaders in the world have one thing in common: high emotional intelligence. Studies show that EQ is the #1 predictor of long-term success, more than IQ, technical skills, or experience. Why? Because emotionally intelligent leaders stay calm in chaos, inspire trust and loyalty, communicate with clarity, handle feedback without defensiveness, resolve conflict without creating more of it, and most importantly, they lead people, not just results. Leadership starts with self-leadership. If you can't regulate your own emotions, it's nearly impossible to guide others through theirs. That's why all the tools you've learned in this book, awareness, pause, empathy, boundaries, reframing, communication, are not just for your personal peace. They are the very foundation of influence. Now, imagine applying these principles in your everyday life. As a parent, you stay patient during tantrums, listen with empathy, and model emotional regulation. Your children will carry into adulthood. As a friend, you hold space without judgment, speak honestly without harm, and become the one everyone turns to, not for advice, but for presence. As a partner, you communicate needs without blame, listen with curiosity, and create emotional safety where love can grow without fear. As a professional, you diffuse tension. In meetings, coach rather than command, and lead with integrity instead of ego. That's what it means to lead with heart, to lead not just with knowledge, but with wisdom and compassion. People remember how you made them feel. When you practice emotional intelligence, you leave behind not just results, but impact. Leading with heart doesn't mean being soft or passive. It means being strong and emotionally aware, clear and kind, firm and fair. It means setting a new standard, not just for how you treat others, but for how you lead yourself. The world doesn't need more bosses. It needs more humans who lead, with emotional depth, quiet strength, and open hearts. And now that you've done the inner work, that leader is you.